So, hoping everybody have a good day. My day has been challenging. It started out real good, but I am working on being able to work this podcast content type thing. A couple of things that I'm working on, so that y'all don't beat me up too bad. I think by me being an educator, I do talk, I guess, in front of my kids halfway decent. I can't lie. I'm from Baltimore City, so I say some words wrong, like R2, things like that. So, my God, I've been working on just being able to talk into the mic. It's amazing that when you're on stage or you're talking in public and things like that, you don't get a chance to hear your diction until you do something like this. So, some of my words, I've been working on this freaking all day because by me being a musician, I practice and I try to be perfect when it comes to sound. All right, so having said that, and some of my words, ain't clear. My apology. That's because I'm just trying to practice on things I think I'm saying wrong. All right. Having said that, I'm gonna let it rip, let it go. Thank you for your support. Just hit that subscribe, like button. See that word? Subscribe. Yeah, every time. I say that word all the time. But now that I hear myself saying it, I'm like, oh, subscribe. Anyway, so doing my normal walk that I do when I'm going out, for some reason, all my life, I'm a walker, walk to school, walk to middle school, being in bands and marching. So I do a lot of walking and, meditating to myself. I have conversations or I listen to YouTube. It's a very peaceful time for me to do it, to take that walk. One of the things that on Saturdays that happens on some of these walks, like, I'm living in Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, right around 52nd Market Street from time to time, or downtown, or Center City. You will see Israelites. And my opinion, or have been throughout life, I had a good friend, Azel, rest in peace. He's probably one of the only decent Israelites that I ever met, that I know of. But my opinion of what I see them in Philadelphia, man, they will harass the hell out of people. Mainly African American women. They berate them, and it's the propaganda is not a good look. Continuously yelling that they are the real Israelites by way of Africa. If you're not from Africa, you're not from that line, Jerusalem, Judea, those places, then you're not considered a real Israelite or of the Jewish religion. Alright? My problem with that is, or my question, I don't have a problem with it, that's your religion. My question that's on my mind is that claim right there that you are the true Israelites. I'd like somebody to answer this question. I'm going to show this little snippet of a document real quick so that I can intelligently ask this question where it makes sense. At least it makes sense to me of asking the question. So we're going to take a pause. We're going to look at this little clip, so that I can ask the question behind it. All right? Fair enough? Thank you for being able to participate in the question. Anybody else that can help me with the answer, could you go ahead, click like, subscribe. At the end of the day, y'all, just asking the question. All right?
The story begins in 750 BC when the Near East was divided into many small kingdoms and city-states. They were wedged between the Assyrian Empire to the north and Egypt in the south. Among them was the kingdom of Israel, whose people worshipped several gods, including Yahweh. In 722 BC, the capital Samaria fell to the Assyrian Empire. Part of the population then fled to the kingdom of Judah and Jerusalem, but they would be followed by the Assyrian army as they continue their expansion towards the south. The region then remains under their control for a century until the fall of Nineveh to the Babylonians. Egypt and Babylon would then compete for territories of the old empire, but the Babylonians quickly take over and project their power in the region. Jerusalem resists this new rule and rebels. The Babylonian army then returns to besiege and destroy the city. Much of the population is then moved to the capital. In 539 BC, the Achaemenid Persian Empire takes over Babylon. The new king authorizes a free passage for Judeans, prompting many to return to Jerusalem. They would then rebuild the city and organize the foundations of Jewish culture by building the Temple of Solomon and writing the Torah. In 334 BC, the ambitious young Macedonian king Alexander the Great set out with his army to conquer the known world. In just over 10 years, he rakes up a huge territory and builds many cities. But exhausted by conquest, he died at age 32 in Babylon without an heir of governing age. The empire was then divided by his generals into various Hellenic kingdoms. Judea came under the control of the Ptolemaic dynasty. A Jewish community settles in the new city of Alexandria, and the Torah is translated into Greek. Following a war against the Seleucid dynasty, Hellenic and Jewish culture developed friction to the point that one of the altars of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem was dedicated to the worship of Zeus. A traditionalist anti-Hellenic Jewish militia is organized and takes control of Jerusalem in 164 BC. The temple is restored and the kingdom of Judea becomes independent. A century later, the region was conquered by the Roman army. The Judeans would organize two major revolts against the new regime, which were violently crushed. The first revolt in 66 provoked the siege of Jerusalem, followed by the destruction of its temple. The only wall of the enclosure that survived would become known as the Wailing Wall. During the second revolt, the city was razed and a great part of the population slaughtered. This time, the Jews were forbidden a safe passage to Judea. Many migrate to Galilee and across the empire. Towards the end of the Roman Empire, Christianity was the dominant religion and Jerusalem a place of pilgrimage. The largely well-to-do Jewish community in the Mediterranean basin began to be persecuted, especially in the Visigoth and Byzantine empires. In the 7th century, following the birth of Islam, begins an Arab conquest. In some cases, Jews support the conquest in the hope of better conditions. They are tolerated by the Arabs and only polytheistic peoples are forcibly converted. In Jerusalem, the Dome of the Rock is built, making the city holy to the three monotheistic religions. The Arabs arrive in the Iberian Peninsula, which they call Al-Andalus. Here, 5% of the population is Jewish, ushering in a golden age of culture. Meanwhile, in Europe, Jews are not only tolerated as people who witnessed times before Christ, but also as the sole traders between Catholics and Muslims. This allows Jews to gradually establish themselves in all of Western Europe. In the 11th century, the Seljuk Turks, a Central Asian people, began their expansion and reached Jerusalem. They persecute Christians and forbid pilgrimages to the city. In response, Christians in Europe organized crusades, military and religious expeditions to the Holy City. Along the way, they massacred Jewish communities who they now consider a deicide people who killed Jesus Christ. In 1347, Genoese merchant boats from Kaffa helped spread the Black Death. In 5 years, the disease wreaks havoc in Europe, killing almost half its population. A rumor spreads accusing Jews of poisoning wells, resulting in their persecution mainly along the Rhine and Rhone region and their eventual expulsion. In Spain, the Reconquista ends. The Catholic kings serve an ultimatum to the Jews to either convert or leave. The majority who choose to leave settle along the Mediterranean coast, mainly in the Ottoman Empire, where they are welcomed. The Poland-Lithuania Commonwealth becomes a haven for Jews from Western Europe due to favorable migration policies. In the 17th century, the region hosts more than 300,000, or about half of the Jews in the world. But everything changed in 1648 with the revolt of the Cossacks' Ukrainian presence against the nobility and the Jews. They accused the Jews of having a privileged relationship with those in power. More than 100,000 Jewish people are killed or flee the region. This episode would weaken the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, besieged on all sides by neighboring powers. In 150 years, the regime falls and its territory is carved up. The Jewish community is divided, and 900,000 of them find themselves in the Russian Empire, where they are not welcome. They quickly become the targets of attacks called pogroms, a Russian term meaning devastation. Given the lack of response from authorities, these attacks become more frequent and deadly. The Jews then emigrate to the United States and Western Europe, which in the meantime has improved their living conditions. It is in this context that the first Zionist Congress is held in Basel in 1897, contemplating the founding of a new homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. But the Ottoman Empire is fiercely opposed to the project. A few years later, the First World War breaks out. The Ottoman Empire fought alongside Germany. When the Allies were in trouble and desperately sought further support, the then British Minister of Foreign Affairs, Arthur Balfour, wrote an open letter promising a Jewish homeland in Palestine in return for Jewish support. In parallel, they support the Arab rebellion against the Ottoman Empire by promising them independence in the liberated territories. At the end of the war, the map of the Middle East was redrawn and divided up between the European powers. Palestine comes under the British mandate, marking the beginning of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
So, my question is, if your DNA started in that part of the region, Jerusalem, Judea, that spot right there, and you are African descent, or even in Egypt, because you guys was in Egypt too, and you migrated through war, through slavery, through XYZ, through Cuba, through Texas, or however you got to Philadelphia, your ancestry migrated all the way through and made it to Philadelphia. And when you were born, one question: the name that you have as an Israelite right now, did you have it when you were first born? Was it a name that your mom and dad gave? That's one question. And if you was able to make that pilgrim, or whatever atrocities, or however you got to here to today, your DNA 2025, and you're claiming to be an Israelite, how is it impossible that, let's say, the same group of people, you have a war, some people go left, some people go north, some people go south, some people go west. From the documentary I just saw, or we just viewed, there's a lot went through, all the way through Russia, all the way through Poland, through Germany, got kicked out of Germany, Poland. The Russians already kicked them out because that's how they made it to Germany and Poland in the first place. They get saved by Europeans and United States, and then they say, some people gonna come to America. Then some people opted to go to where Palestine is in 1948. Or whatever that situation was at that time. My question is, why is it different from your way of coming in here and you can determine that you the real, and they just might have went west and their travel made it back to to a location or an area that you are in, and just because their pilgrim made them lighter, and you're like, why wouldn't they still be real, or their DNA? Now, just like I asked you, when by the time it's 2025 and you are a leader, how come their pilgrim or whatever they went through, and they also, by the time they got here, changed their name, or they got to Israel, they changed their name, or changed their name from what their parents gave them? What would be the difference, and why would it be the difference? That's my question. I'll say it again. When whatever happened to you guys or to your culture, one went south, some people went to slavery this way, some people went into slavery and wars west way up to north, and everybody's kind of either in America, Israel, and London. How come they're not real Israelites like you claim to be a real Israelite? That's my question. Hey, feel free to like, subscribe, or later when I get comfortable, I'll start sharing my email and stuff like that. I will share my Twitter page. You'll see that link down at the bottom. And welcome to some of the debates or conversations I will be having. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, it don't make a difference. I ain't nobody fly. So I'm not important enough for it to be a big argument. It's just a knowledgeable question for my own information. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good Saturday.